Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 122 of the Runnin The Paint Podcast. I'm Miles here with Nick and Joey. Guys, how are you doing today?
Feeling good, feeling great. Happy to be back with y'all, even though our team isn't doing so hot.
Yes, sir. We are back indeed. It is a loaded episode today. Stick around. We got a lot to cover.
Yes, sir. This is one of the more loaded episodes that we've had all season long. We have three teams with a 3-1 advantage. None of us probably expected any of these to
We have
go
four
the way
teams
that
with
they
a.
have.
Don't we have four teams with a
No,
three?
Three of
just
the
the
four.
Oh, it's 2-2. OKC Denver. Sorry.
yep.
That's a great start, listeners. I promise.
Yes, but it's been very unexpected with all those series so far. We had one of the craziest draft lotteries in league history that we're going to get into after we go over all these series so far. So definitely stick around for all that. But first up, we've got PERTL. Let's see how well we can do on PERTL today. Nick, who is our first guest for today?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a guy that was in the draft lottery, looking for his replacement, representing the New Orleans Pelicans. He was there for the seventh pick, Zion Williamson.
Oh
Zion
my
No,
goodness.
Williamson.
I'm just joking about his replacement.
That's pretty good right there.
All right, so this is going to be an Eastern Conference player who's taller than 6'6", but close 6'7" or 6'8". Has a jersey number that's either 22 or 23, or
So
I'm
just
sorry,
two or three.
number one or two, or it's 2 or 3. Sorry,
Two or
Yeah.
you
three.
say it.
Yeah, two or
Frick, man.
three, and then either 22 or 23. Oh, years old. You mix up the age and then the number. That's okay.
That's
I
right.
got what you're doing. We are recording this at 1:13 in the morning, by the
That
way,
is true.
for the viewers. So cut us a little bit of slack here. But we didn't have any. We don't have a little yellow box around the forward either. So this is going to be like a 6'7" or 6'8" guard
Guard.
or center. Like this,
Yeah, in the
who's
East.
young in the Eastern
What number is
Conference.
Dyson Daniels?
I think he's number 5.
Okay.
Number 5 for Atlanta, but I like the thinking there.
I do as well.
Look around the league.
Is Derek White a lower number?
No, he's number
No,
9.
and this is also a young guy.
That's
Yeah,
right. Young guy with some size, plays
6,
guard.
8.
I could have said Jared
Uh,
McCain too, because he was there representing the 76ers.
it was. Let's see. This could be Cade Cunningham.
Oh yeah,
it could.
Cade Cunningham. He's number 2.
two number
He's
one picks.
Yeah. Speaking of number
Yeah,
1 picks, let's try him out. Cade
let's
Cunningham.
do it.
Oh,
Oh man.
that'd have been perfect.
Taller, and he's probably number 3.
Yep. So I
And
think
in
I
the
got who it is.
Central,
I think this is going to be someone that we might talk about later in this video because of the implications. Josh Giddey.
oh, that's exactly who it is. That is exactly who it is. P.
Josh
Giddy in the house.
Josh Giddey in 3. But man, all super high draft picks. All who've, Josh Giddey had a very good year this year. So getting Josh Giddey in 3, let us know how long it took you guys to get Josh Giddey in PERTL. Well, let's get into these playoffs, man. Each day, the plot thickens more and more, and the championship window, the championship favorite, it becomes more open and open, as the days go on here. Let's start off with the Celtics Knicks series. This series, which has taken an unbelievable turn after a fantastic, entertaining game in New York. New York was able to pull out the victory 121 to 113, and they have a 3-1 lead against the defending champion Boston Celtics, pushing them to the brink of elimination. But before we get to the actual game itself, have to start off with the Jayson Tatum injury occurring late in the fourth quarter. While we're recording this, we don't have any official word of the injury, but it didn't look very good. Did not look very good. So, obviously, very unfortunate for Jayson Tatum and the Celtics that the non-contact injury.
I was gonna say we just call a spade a spade. He likely tore his Achilles, and it's gonna same thing as Dame. I mean, like it's crazy to just see two star players go down with the same injury on a loose ball, same exact play, like stepping backwards to plant and sort of make a cut to go grab a loose ball, and it's going to impact his entire season next year. It's terrible. So like watching the game, they cut to commercial after the injury before showing the replay that it was non-contact, but we were texting in the group chat, and I was right away like because he was laying on the ground like nodding his head, like the trainer's asking him, "Did you feel it pop? Did you feel it up in your calf?" He's nodding his head, like that's what's going on.
Yeah, just first thoughts and prayers to Tatum and his family just for recovery, but as a Celtics as a whole, this couldn't come at a worse time, especially after he performed
Oh my
as well
gosh.
as you could in a game that's win or go home, basically.
Yeah, look, the game was unbelievable, but it was, the shot making from Jayson Tatum, throughout the start of the game, him and Derek White nailing a whole bunch of threes. It looked like we were going to have a very same result to game 3, where the Celtics finally got back going from 3-point range and just blew out the Knicks in game 3. Started out that way in game 4, but then the Knicks, everyone in their starting lineup contributed, on the offensive end and the defensive end. For the most part. We'll talk about Cat in a little bit. But New York, they just played an exceptional game. I mean, and it was still super close, even with Jayson Tatum really being the standout guy. He finished with 42 points in this game. He was 16 for 28 from the field, 7 for 16 from 3. And he just looked spectacular. So, I mean, obviously the injury, it sucks, but it hurts even more when it comes in a ridiculous performance like this, where he's, not single-handedly keeping them in it, but he's like the main consistent driving force to the Celtic offense all game long.
And from the jump, I mean, he was making plays on the defensive end too. He had 2 blocks, I think, in the first half, and he was all over the court. Um, One thing I will say is like every time it's like okay, so Sam Hauser didn't play in this game. I did want to mention that he twisted his ankle in game 3 and then was out for the rest of it. But every time the Celtics went up by double digits early. I think it was 17-7 in the first quarter, and it was a 14-point lead at the max. In the second quarter, when Brunson went to the bench, they stretched it to 13. I'm like, Thibodeau needs to get him back in there because how do you let it get to 13 with your best player on the bench? But every time the Celtics missed a shot, it just seemed like the Knicks were about to get the momentum. Like it didn't even matter what happened. Like the Knicks, as soon as the Celtics missed, the Knicks had life breathed into them because it is a MSG and because the Celtics offense is shoddy a lot of times. And I know Jayson Tatum just had a horrible injury and 42 points tonight. But if you like put a camera on him, I mean, you can say this about a lot of the guys, anybody who's not named like Asar Thompson or Amen Thompson or Steph Curry who just flies around. But the thing is, like, how many of his points are made on assists? Like, how many Tatum points come off an assist? Like, not a lot, bro. Like, it's all just him. And when that's it, like it gets guys out of like gets other guys on your team out of a rhythm. It's harder to play, when that's just sort of the style you're gonna bank on. And I get it, but I don't know. Kristaps Porzingis was also not great in this game. He doesn't look well. I know he's dealing with the illness, but he's there in short spurts. Celtics got some things to figure out if they have a shot to come back. I'm not saying that they can't because they were 8-2 without Tatum this year, so it's not dead yet. But we'll see, I guess.
It's definitely not looking good since everybody else is kind of being very hit or miss. But on the opposite end, the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, man. Jalen Brunson had it. As we're talking about, Tatum had an incredible game. Jalen Brunson had an incredible game. He put the dagger in them today, and it could have been the series.
Yeah, the shot making from Jalen Brunson in the mid range was absolutely fantastic. It felt like we were going against two different grains watching this game. The Celtics taking a lot of threes, and the Knicks really living in the mid-range area with Brunson and Mikal Bridges, who were fantastic, with their shot making in the second half. They really turned things around in the third quarter to get back into the game because the Celtics were up, by a good margin at the half. I believe it was an 11-point game at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Before New York made their run in the third quarter to make
New York
scored
70 points in the second half.
Yeah,
because they had 41. I mean, Jalen had 39 points and 12 assists. And what I was saying about Tatum with the camera, if you put a camera on him, like there's just a lot of standing. Sorry to go back to that point, but there's a lot of standing. I never just made it clear.
Yeah, the Boston Celtics offense at times can get very stationary and stagnant. And I think that's been their biggest problem in this series, and their biggest problem when they struggle, throughout the last several years. It's when they get these double-digit leads because they're taking a lot of threes and they're going in. It's when they're not going in that, the offense doesn't look that good. A lot of the three-point makes usually comes off of when they're driving and kicking. There's been less of that. It seems like there's a lot more quick shots going up early in the clock. And if they're late in the clock, it's after Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown are dribbling 10 times and taking a step back three or a pull-up three. And that's just not the recipe to success. You mentioned in the second half, yes, New York outscores Boston 70-51, and the disparity of the scoring is what stands out so much. For Boston, Jayson Tatum scored 22 points in the second half. No one else on the Celtics scored more than 8 in the second half. Meanwhile, for the Knicks, they had 4 players score in double figures in the second half, led by Brunson's 26, Mikal Bridges at 14, Towns 13, Anunoby 12. I mean, that's just the type of production that you need. And when the Knicks are able to get all of their guys going, which, throughout the regular season, we didn't, see a whole lot of it consistently. When they're able to do this, they are super tough to beat because all of them have a rhythm. Obviously at Madison Square Garden, that crowd is going crazy. I mean, this is like one of the biggest Knicks victories in the last 25 years. I mean, they're one win away from a conference final.
Yeah, that crowd was absolutely insane. It felt like the camera was shaking half the time. But it's good for New York basketball. A lot of legends in the building, I was saying. Like, this was just, like you said, probably one of the most important playoff victories in the last decade plus.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Nick, you kept mentioning the camera. When the Celtics had the ball offensively, only time the camera was probably moving and was when it was shaking because of the Knicks' defense chance. I mean, that's how loud it was, and that's how rough the Celtics offense was down the stretch. But even with that, Jayson Tatum's incredible shot making had them in the position to take this game once again. But to me, it was the New York Knicks defense, forcing the Celtics into these ISO situations. And getting out on the break and scoring in the half court. And also, I mean, again, Brunson and Bridges being ridiculous, making tough shots. I mean, these aren't easy shots that they're making. I mean, Brunson, I just love the way Brunson plays. I don't know how he's able to get off some of the shots he does as a 6'1" point guard who lives in the mid-range and in the post, taking fadeaways, floaters, getting hounded on all game. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible what he's been able to do. And it was great to see him finally have a efficient performance because while he's been great throughout this series, he wasn't shooting all that great. This game, it was from the jump, and it really, took a whole nother level to it in the second half.
100%. New York is living the life right now.
Before we move on, I do want to say one thing that I don't think anybody's talking about. And that is the role of PJ Tucker on this New York Knicks team.
Stop.
No, because I'm serious. I mean, okay, we talk about the camera. During the timeout, like when they came back from break, you see the back of PJ Tucker's head. I'm like, who is that? Like, talking with so much emotion. Like, I can just see the back of his head, like, moving and, like, hyping dudes up. And then they cut to the bench another time, and he's like coming out on the court, like celebrating. I'm like, oh, that was the back of PJ Tucker's head. This dude is on a minimum deal. He's getting paid $246,000. He's 40 years old. and he's out there giving it everything.
He
Yeah,
doesn't
I mean, it's
have
the
to
reason.
do much, though. He just has to cheer.
Well, dude, I mean that's pretty valuable.
I mean, it is very
It
valuable.
is. That is true.
I mean, there are some veterans that may not be doing that, wishing that they could play in these moments. And he's willing
I mean,
to be, another coach out there.
who do the Pacers have on there? Who's the dude with the dreads?
James Johnson.
Yeah.
They got
I mean,
James Johnson.
I think you need to have a veteran like that at the end of your bench who's been through the trials and tribulations on a team. I mean, every team's got that to some extent. I mean, the Celtics don't really have. Well, no, they have Al Horford.
I was about to say
exactly.
He just starts and plays, so it's way different. But
I don't think it's that much
York,
different though. That's my point. I think that's a very valuable thing. I mean, it's different because he plays he's in the rotation, but
yeah, I mean, every team that is at this point kind of has that for the most part. I mean, the Cavs have Tristan Thompson at the end of their bench. Celtics have Al Horford who plays. You mentioned the Knicks with PJ Tucker, Pacers with James Johnson, and then in the West you have DeAndre Jordan who's on the Nuggets. You have a guy like Joe Ingles who's on Minnesota's bench. Obviously, Mike Conley, in that starting lineup. You have all the experience, of course, with Golden State, and then OKC's got Caruso, who's like their vet, and he's been playing fantastic as well. But yeah, Knicks super impressive again. I mean, coming into this series, I'll put this up again. None of us, besides Jackson, had this being a possibility of being this competitive of a series. I also think we didn't realize how significant this Kristaps Porzingis thing would be for the Celtics. I mean, he looks like a role player out there. I mean, this is not the Kristaps Porzingis that we're used to seeing, and it's coming at the worst time as we now look ahead to Game 5, which was now in Boston with the Knicks a chance to close out this series. Is there any chance that the Celtics could come back from this 3-1 deficit if Jayson Tatum, let's just say he does have the, Achilles injury, he's done for the season? Is there any chance of the Celtics getting back into this series without Jayson Tatum?
Joey?
I don't want to. I want to say there's no chance, but like Nick said, this year they're 8-2 without him. Like they can find a way. Who knows what's going on with Porzingis, but maybe he turns it on and becomes a star, and JB's got it going. Drew Holiday becomes clutch. Like all things can go right, and the Celtics can do it. Loki, I might pick them for Game 5, get that home crowd with them, but I don't think. I think it's the series is over.
Nick, what are your thoughts?
I think that there's always time. They never count out the defending champs. I mean, even without Tatum, I think Brown is arguably their best player at times. So, yeah, if they win Game 5, then the pressure goes back on New York. And to win a Game 6 at home sounds like an easy task, but against the defending champs with the Game 7 implication being back in Boston is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of I guess, I don't know if I'd call it an advantage, but part of the thing that makes being down 3-1 as the home team not as insurmountable as it normally would be. I will say, obviously, we haven't seen a situation like this before. I don't think where a defending champion lost their best player like this, in the middle of a playoff series with a season-ending injury, something like this. And in order for them to come back, obviously Jaylen Brown's going to need to step up, and he's not been good in this series. I think that's something that's being overlooked a little bit. He has not been good. I mean, this series, he's averaging 20 points on 38% shooting and 23% from three in the series. I mean, and none of the Celtics, besides like Derek White and Peyton Pritchard, are shooting the ball that well. Horford has not been good. Porzingis has been bad, as we talked about before. Sam Hauser got hurt in the beginning of the series, and he's out. I don't know where the Celtics will look to go as far as who they'll even play in this game, because they played a limited rotation in this game. all their starters played 30-plus minutes. Porzingis played 24, Pritchard 20, Luke Cornett only played 8 minutes. I mean, I'm guessing that they'll go with Porzingis and Horford together to start, because, I think at this point you just kind of have to. But then where do you go from there to kind of get your, boost off the bench going besides Pritchard and Cornett on the boards? Like, I don't know what Joe Mazzulla is going to have to go to some interesting, guys off his bench. We might see some Torrey Craig. We might see, I don't even know. We might see some Xavier Tillman. We're going to see some weird things from the Celtics, in the situation that they're in. But I do agree you can never fully count out a champion. But without your superstar player who's also been your only consistent offensive player, it's going to be a tough task, especially with the Knicks playing so well. But New York definitely deserves a lot of credit for putting themselves in this position.
100%.
Absolutely.
We'll see where we're at following Game 5. Moving on here to the second game that we had here last night, Game 4 of the Timberwolves Warriors series. Minnesota taking a 3-1 lead in that series, a 117-110 victory in Game 4. They've won the last 3 games after losing Game 1. Nick, where do you want to start off with this Game 4?
Well, splitting the first 2 games for Golden State was big, but obviously losing Steph sucked. So going back to Golden State, you're like, all right, we got to get one of these next 2. And losing both at home, not ideal. They came out aggressive in this one and looked good, attacking the rim early in the first part of the game. It was tied at the half, and then Minnesota outscored them 39-17 in the third quarter. And that's what we call a nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it was the Ant Edwards show in that third quarter, but not to excuse Julius Randle. He also had a crazy game, but them two together have been absolutely insane this series. But like you said, without Steph, it's kind of the same situation I'm thinking with the Celtics. It's like I'm not going to count them out for the series as a whole, but you lose your best player, your most consistent offense. You got a lot to overcome.
Yeah, the thing that just hurts with this game in particular, after a competitive Game 3 that they had a chance to win because of Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga both going for 30 plus in that game. In this game, Jimmy Butler has a stinker of a game. I'm very disappointed in what we got from him. In this type of situation, you're without Steph Curry. You're coming off of a great game in Game 3 that you nearly won. I do not understand how he only gets 9 shots in 34 minutes, only 5 free throws, 3 assists, 14 points. He's a minus 30. This is unacceptable from Jimmy Butler. This in the biggest game of the season, he put up a stinker, and it's just not what the Warriors needed at all at this point.
Yeah, you had said it early on in the night in our group chat that he's looking to get other guys involved and to try and get them going. But then, the Warriors shot 8 for 27 from 3-point range, and they were getting to the line. Shout out Jonathan Kuminga, but other than that, they played horrific defense for most of the game, and Jimmy was not nearly as aggressive as he needed to be. You're right.
How many times did Jonathan Kuminga play before Steph got injured, throughout the whole playoffs or season? Because I heard wasn't it he was unplayable, they didn't play him at all.
Not much. He was not in the rotation. Coming into the playoffs after he had a little bit of an injury. He was not in the rotation to start off the playoffs, and he's kind of just gotten slotted back in there when we had the Jimmy Butler injury in the Houston series and now the Steph Curry injury. And to Kuminga's credit, he stringed together 3 straight very good games. He had 18 in Game 2, 30 in Game 3. He has 23 here in this game. But again, Jimmy Butler puts up a stinker. Hield and Pajemski combined to go for 7 for 25 from the field. You know, Draymond Green was like, besides Kuminga, he was like the only player that I was like, man, he's looking to score. And like, that's just not going to cut it. But despite that happening, they still had a 2-point lead at the half. You know, it was a 5-point lead before Anthony Edwards drained in a 30-foot buzzer beater, you know, to close the half. And then, like Nick, you said, they get outscored 39-17 in the third quarter. Outside of the third quarter, the Warriors outscored the Timberwolves in the other 3 quarters, despite Kuminga and Draymond being the only players that really showed up. So that's what's kind of crazy about this whole thing, is that they were still, you know, pretty competitive. It was just that third quarter that just destroyed them.
Yeah, we were watching it at the end of the game together, and at the end they were still hustling. They got it to a 10-point game with just about like a minute left. And it's like, technically, I don't think you're gonna come back, but like, you're making it interesting. You're fighting. Jimmy Butler just didn't have it in him, apparently.
Too little, too late. I don't know what the deal is coming out of the locker room and just laying an egg like that.
Yeah, in the third quarter, I mean, this is a do or die situation. I mean, again, losing both games at home, going down 3-1, going back to Minnesota without Steph Curry, definitely tough to see them making a run here. But again, Minnesota, I mean, you mentioned at the top, Randall and Edwards were fantastic. Randall, to start off, continues to just impress with his shot making, his playmaking, his poise, which is not something you'd normally say about Julius Randle, but he has turned it around this year. And Anthony Edwards in that third quarter, when the Timberwolves went on that 17-0 run to just blow the game open, he was ridiculous. He knocked down, I believe, 3 straight threes. He had a crazy and one, and that made the difference. I mean, it's crazy what you can do if your 2 stars just perform like stars. You know,
I'm ready for this Knicks Wolves NBA Finals. The teams that switched it up with each other just meet again. They just had to trade pieces. That's it.
I thought about that today too.
It is actually
how that
crazy.
Jackson's finals prediction from last year might come true a year later.
He was a year too early.
It's unbelievable. We're in that position where just tonight we have the Timberwolves and Knicks taking 3-1 leads. Yeah, man, Minnesota 1 win away from going to their second straight Western Conference final. Very impressive. Did not expect them to be at this point, especially with the inconsistent regular season. But they're proving that they should be, you know, mentioned in that type of top tier.
I was gonna say, like, at the beginning of the year, I could see it happening because I'm like, they have the talent. As even after the trade, like, I thoughts all about it before, but their team was still very, very talented and good on paper. Like, they could easily make it back, like, if they played well. Like, but it was just an inconsistent season. But now they're locking in.
Yeah, I mean, their 8-man rotation is solid. Joey, I know Ant was your preseason MVP pick, so you're definitely not lying about
He's a dog.
You saw the vision, but they got Naz Reid, DiVincenzo, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming off the bench. I mean, that is as good as it gets for an 8-man group. And I was wondering if you guys thought that they could beat the Nuggets or the Thunder in the next round.
I think they could. I think they definitely could.
If they play the Nuggets, I know Riley doesn't want to see that.
Yeah, our boy Riley in the group chat. I mean, they're also going to have this advantage where, you know, if they take care of the Warriors in Game 5, they're done with the series in 5 games. We'll get to Denver and OKC. They have been fighting back and forth in that series. That could very well go the distance. And Minnesota is going to have played in, you know, 2 5-game series that they've, you know, dominated for the most part against the Lakers and the Warriors. So they'll definitely be feeling good about themselves going into a conference final. They'll definitely have a shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, shout out to the Wolves, man. Moving on to the other 2 series. First, the Cavs-Pacers series. Man. It's a dreaded thing to talk about for us Cavs fans here, coming off of the just embarrassing Game 4 loss on Sunday night. The Pacers defeated the Cavs 129-109. That score was kind. It was a 30-20 40-point game the whole way through. So Indiana now has the 3-1 lead against the Cavaliers with a chance to close it out in Cleveland here tonight in Game 5. Man. Where do we start? Where do we start with this series?
I don't know. I haven't been on the pod since the series started, and as soon as I come on the pod again, it's depression. It just.
Well, maybe you'll be the swing that the Cavs need to get the one, because me and Miles still have our Cavs in 7 pick, still looking good as of right now. No,
yeah,
that's true.
Still in play.
It is definitely still in play. But no, Nick, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I picked the Pacers in the last game. I thought that the Cavs early jump, and well, I don't know. I thought their game, 3 win, was a little bit on edge towards the end, and not indicative necessarily of them being the better team. So I thought Indiana was going to have the edge at home, but I didn't expect it to be a 30 or 40 point, blowout in the first half. So that was not great to see. The Cavs aren't healthy. I know Garland, everybody was back for the last 2 games, or the last game or whatever. Not at 100%, I would imagine. No one's at 100%. You're never at 100% in the playoffs, but I would imagine they're significantly sort of impaired from their normal play style. And Donovan now is questionable to suit up for Game 5. So
yeah, it was a nightmare day, and I think the injuries are something to mention for sure. I mean, Garland with his toe. I mean, he's not even able at some. There have been multiple times in the 2 games where he's tried to drive into the paint and he just falls down. He doesn't have the balance. Hunter with his wrist, he can't even grip the ball. He's putting his shots up there. I think it's something to mention, but it is not the reason why they lost this game. I mean, Indiana, all credit to the Pacers. I mean, I've said it multiple times. In the recap yesterday. I mean, the Pacers have looked like by far the best team in these playoffs, and it's been absolutely incredible. The shot making has been unbelievable. I mean, that first half, I don't know if I have seen a team play a better half on both ends of the floor where you can't miss and you're not allowing the other team to get anything good going, either. I mean, it was a perfect performance by the Pacers, and they put it to the Cavs. They really did.
Yeah, good on the Pacers. That's all I'm gonna say. It makes me just so mad about the way this Cavs season has gone, or at least this round has gone. I couldn't even watch the game. I was working, and me and my friends were like, "Hey, let's put on the game in the back." So I streamed it on Max, put it over the speaker. I'm making tacos, and I hear a lot of cheering, and I'm like, "Guys, we're away. I don't like all this cheering." I go and check right before halftime. It's a 41-point game at halftime. I'm like, we're going to music. I can't listen to this anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, what makes this loss, so frustrating is just the way that the first 2 games went in Cleveland. I mean, I've said it multiple times. This Game 4 loss, I mean, this, it obviously hurts, but it wouldn't have been as annoying and as frustrating if we had won Game 2, because then it's a 2-2 series and you have a pretty successful weekend, right? You play 3 solid games to start the series. You get a road win, and now you're tied up, at 2 apiece. Instead, now you're down 3-1, against the hottest team in the playoffs. And obviously it doesn't look, that great, especially after that game. But I definitely still have slim faith. I think that there is a chance because, again, like we've talked about, having 2 of the 3 potential final games at home is definitely, it's definitely an advantage. And if you were going to win this series as the Cavs against a high-powered team like the Pacers, you were probably going to have to win 2 games in Indiana anyways. So if you just take care of business at home and win on the road, then you're in business. But obviously the Game 4 loss, it definitely doesn't have – it wouldn't have anyone feeling good. I mean, there's just no other way around it.
I kind of feel bad we're talking about the Cavs so much when the credit should be going to the Pacers because, the Pacers are hard to root against. Like, they played, like, my favorite style, like, putting pressure on both ends and just playing a complete like team basketball. It's fun. But this has kind of been the MO with the Cavs, not just this year, but for like a couple years where they're just super hot, super cold. Toughness has really been an issue with this group for the entire time they've been together, and it's rearing its ugly head once again. It's almost like we get out toughed, and then we're like baffled that we don't get help from the refs, and then we make it almost like comical about how we go about trying to deal with the toughness and the adversity that we're facing. Like we just kind of fold and crumble.
I was just say, as you're absolutely right. Obviously we're Cavs fans, so we're gonna naturally talk about the Cavs maybe a little more than usual or any other team. However, the Pacers had exactly what you said. The Cavs aren't bringing the toughness. That's why we especially lost Game 4. And the Pacers are bringing the toughness. They're playing fantastic basketball, complete basketball. All credit should go to the Pacers, but there should be plenty of blame to go around to the leaders of the Cavs, I guess, just because there is no toughness. They're not really, especially that Game 4. It was just embarrassing. Absolutely just embarrassing.
Yeah. And yeah, everything you guys said is true. I mean, it seemed like the Cavs after Game 3, where they made adjustments. Biggest one was the 3-2 zone that they started playing with Mobley in the middle. We saw that work, a few years ago when JB Bickerstaff was on the team, and it was Mobley's rookie year. We've kind of hid it away for a little bit until they needed it the most, and they brought it out in Game 3. It worked. In Game 4, the Pacers made some adjustments, kind of attacking, the middle, just driving right past it. And the Cavs were almost like, "Oh, you're gonna adjust? You're gonna adjust to our adjustment? Wow, what are we gonna do now?" Like, it seemed like that was kind of the case here. But it's also, again, at the same time, this is what makes the Game 2 loss just so frustrating. I'm more frustrated at the Game 2 loss than Game 4, because again, if they had won Game 2, we would not be talking about this as much, But since they blew the 7-point lead in 40 seconds, then we're talking about it, rightfully so. Because it's something that has to be talked about. Second straight Mother's Day that the Pacers absolutely blitzed the heck out of a team in the second round. They did the same thing to the Knicks last year. They do it to the Cavs this year. But yeah, man, Indiana just across the board with Pascal Siakam starting things off in that second quarter, Miles Turner closing out the half with all those rainbow threes. I mean, and all of them were cash. There were nothing but net. It was ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if anyone was going to beat them on that type of night. It was spectacular what they did.
I don't know. What I will say is, it's kind of fun trying to like dissect and identify like a team's sort of core identity. And with the Celtics, I feel like a lot of their situations in the late game and like blowing leads, whatever, is kind of stems from the fact that Tatum is what Tim McMahon calls on ESPN, top of the second tier of like all like star players. He's like not Giannis, not Jokic, not Shea. I would even rather have like Donovan at this point, or Luca. Like he's not up in that category, but he's at the top of the next tier. And I feel like a lot of what the Celtics are dealing with is the fact that his game is not undeniable all the time, and like he is a shoot first, like he's not undeniable. And what I see with the Celtics is that what I see with the Cavs is like in that locker room there must be some kind of like air or aura of like non-toughness between. I mean, I know Jared Allen and Darius Garland are like lighthearted guys who like to joke around and stuff. I don't know what Donovan is like behind closed doors. Obviously, I don't know what any of these guys are like behind closed doors, but that is just what I'm seeing.
No, that's why it's the joke with who is it? Our good buddy Skufko, the Charmin Ultra Soft, Jared
Right.
Allen. We've been making the joke for years, and it always comes around during playoff time for some reason. What a coincidence! Again this year, it might have not been JB's fault, maybe.
Yeah, so we'll. I mean, yeah, it's specifically the Game 4 thing, it does bring back memories of the Knicks first round series in 2023, where the Cavs got beat around physically. I am extremely excited for Game 5 to see how this Cavs team will fight back because, I mean, we'll see if they have really improved in these types of situations.
The power of
You know,
friendship, as you would put it.
yeah, the power of friendship, but actually come out and with that energy, and the physicality that they need to. And, again, I mean, I keep saying it's going to be something that we're thinking about probably all offseason, the game two thing, because in game two, they had all that.
Yeah.
They had all the ingredients to start the game. And for 3 quarters, it just, crumbled up in the end. But yeah, I'm extremely excited to see how this Cavs team will fight back here. I do not think that they will go down without their best fight. Because if they lose to this, super hot, high powered Pacers team on both ends, there's no shame in losing to that if you do it with the effort, the energy, that a number one seed should. If it happens, like it did in game 4, that's when questions, should start to be happening about this team.
All I know is it better not happen in front of that sold out crowd that's going to be there because that place is about to be rocking.
Yeah, that's the man. That crowd has been like one of the tops of the playoffs, and in this series, it hasn't resulted in a win yet. But definitely still some faith in the Cavs. I guess before we move on, looking at Game 5 of that series, what do you guys think is the biggest thing that Cleveland needs to do in order to extend this series back to Indiana for Game 6?
I think first off, obviously, pray to the basketball gods that Donovan Mitchell didn't injure his ankle too bad and he'll play. But honestly, just they need to put the energy in and hustle. Everyone's injured, everyone's kind of beat up, but like you have to put your body on the line. You have to fight for it. If you're fighting and you're putting that energy towards it, in front of that crowd, they're gonna feed off of that, and they're gonna feed you, and it'll eventually go your way. But if you don't bring it, and if you're letting things go, and you're not putting 110% effort every single play, it's not going to be close.
I'd say that they definitely should try and limit the Pacers' offense by slowing things down because the only game they won, they limited them to 104 points. They have to make shots in order to do that. I think getting to the line would help them also do that. And going to maybe the zone look early on would be something to think of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that defensively, I mean, they need to keep up with the physicality and the energy. From a tactic standpoint, offensively, I want to see some more Evan Mobley offensively. It's had a very quiet series, and I don't even think that it's much of his fault. He's not getting the ball. I mean, this coaching staff has been great all year, but I mean, his usage has gone down by 5% in the playoffs and in this second round. For an all NBA player, who would be it was very important in this series where the Pacers are applying that, full court pressure to your guards. You have front court initiators like Mobley and even Jared Allen to some extent. Use them more. So I think that we need to maybe, see that from Cleveland to start. And I think we will, especially if Mitchell is unable to go. I mean, of course, you hope that Ty Jerome can get something going, have some sort of good game, and have a wild card, have some sort of wild card. I mean, Max Strus has been fantastic for the Cavs. He's been, besides Donovan Mitchell, he's probably been their most consistent player, throughout these playoffs. But you need some sort of wild card, whether it is a Sam Merrill, Dean Wade, and Isaac Okoro have not been that good in these playoffs. Maybe we'll see a Jalen Tyson card get pulled out. You need energy and physicality. He's someone that who could maybe do it, but again, I mean, it speaks to what we're kind of searching for when you're, a rookie who hasn't been in the rotation all season might be one of the options to go to in Game 5.
I just started laughing because I thought, I'm like, yeah, just if you need some toughness, throw double T in there, get a flagrant real quick, and then bring them back out.
Tristan, I mean, you're going to need to get off to a hot start. Obviously, you're going to need to make some shots. But I think it does start on the, you know, I don't know. Actually don't know where it would start. I mean, I think offensively, you got to take care of the ball. I think that was the biggest problem in game 4. Take care of the ball offensively and then just focus defensively on sticking to your man and trying not to lose anyone in transition. And maybe you get that by slowing the game offensively, like you were talking about, Nick. Still have faith in the Cavs as Cavs fans, but shout out to the Pacers because if the Pacers win this series, I mean they earned this one. They've played like the best team in the playoffs. They've played unbelievable.
Like we said for the Wolves, back-to-back conference finals appearances.
Potentially, that'd be unbelievable. Those two, I mean,
those two teams back-to-back conference finals.
Pacers and Wolves. But yeah, now let's move on to the final second round series. The only one that is tied at 2 games apiece through 4 games, the OKC Denver series. After the Thunder won a low scoring game on Sunday, 92-87, where no one could hit a shot to save their life in the first half of this game, but the Thunder were able to make the plays down the stretch to pull it out. Joey, where do you want to start with this game and this series?
Honestly, with this game, it's definitely it was a very shocking to see that, like, it wasn't even like obviously both teams were pretty good defensively in this game, but like it really was just a lot of missed shots from both teams. Like it was not really that great to watch from like an offensive standpoint, at least. But good on OKC to fight hard and win this thing on the road, because Denver's not an easy place to win, especially since they took one on your home court that you had to get one back. So now it's best of 2 out of 3 series now. You have the home court advantage again. It's a brand new series.
Nick, what were your thoughts on game 4?
Well, I think Denver lost because they only scored 8 points in the first quarter.
That scoreboard didn't seem real. 17-8 in the first quarter. My goodness, dude. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the best duo on the planet, I guess. Or just, a great OKC defense. I mean, I know Lou Dort was really stifling a lot of what Jokic was trying to do. He played incredible defense on anybody that he was guarding. It was a great dogfight, and Shea was huge down the stretch for them to pull away. Made a lot of great plays.
Yeah, so now after this incredible defensive battle, we are tied up going back to OKC. Who do you guys think has the upper hand in this series? It's been a weird series to kind of figure out. Joey, we'll start with you. Who do you think kind of has the advantage the rest of this series?
I want to say OKC just because of the home court, but the problem is we haven't seen Jokic at his best, and I'm still waiting for that MVP dude to show out, because as soon as that happens and he locks in, he stops turning the balls over. He gets a couple threes to go down more than he has been. He just starts to get it going a little bit. It's over. And the Nuggets could pull away really quickly because he's still been one of the best players on the court, and he hasn't been at his best.
Yeah, I mean, these last 3 games, he's shot under 40% from the field in each game. Can't imagine that he's ever had a 3-game stretch where he shot that bad. It may be in his career, so that's definitely something to watch for.
That's what I'm
Nick,
saying.
what's
He's
something
due.
that you're going to be looking at, maybe in game 5, but the rest of the way in this series?
I think Aaron Gordon and MPJ have to play really well to support, the outstanding duo of Murray and Jokic. But oh man, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Excuse me.
All good, Coach Cove. We're now at 2:01 in the morning, folks.
We good.
Oh, I was gonna say that I think OKC has the edge because Jokic looks tired. Speaking of sleep updates, Jokic looks like he's just like had to carry a team to the playoffs, and he's had to, do it with a lot of high usage. I mean, he doesn't have just like the little things, like his touch looks a little bit off. He looks like he like rolling his eyes more at the officials or at anything that kind of doesn't go his way, and he's not getting back. Sometimes, I was thinking about this today. There's a difference between getting back on defense and dang, I had it earlier. The difference between like getting back and forget it.
We'll get it back for the next episode because that sounds like that was going to be a fire quote right there.
No, I think I know what you're saying though. I kind of get it. He's being asked to do a lot more right now because a lot of the other guys aren't stepping up yet. Not to mention they don't really. He's got a coach too. He's got a coach. He's got to run the offense.
I mean, you do see him on the bench being very vocal a lot of the time. Yeah, man, I'm looking not just at the series stats, and Jokic's offensive rating is a 95 in this series. That's unheard of, and a lot of that is probably the game 2 disaster and probably in the game 4 first quarter. But I mean, look, that's the crazy thing about this superstar series where you have the 2 best players, from this season, the 2 top candidates for MVP. And neither of them have really played at their best. It's been one of the weirdest superstar series, that we maybe have ever seen. And also the fact that the role players haven't played that great as well. J-Dub, besides game 3, hasn't been that good. Chet hasn't been very efficient. Lou Dort can't hit a shot, to save his life. For Denver, Michael Porter is game 3, he was exceptional. Game 3, he had 21 points. He scored 13 in the other 3 games combined. I mean, Aaron Gordon's been like the second best player for Denver in this series. And it's just a weird one to figure out. I mean, the OKC role players are what kind of won them the game in game 4 when Wiggins and Wallace were hitting those corner threes, crashing the glass, creating second chance opportunities. And because they are going home, you would think that would favor OKC in this series. But Joey, you bring up a good point with the Joker, not really playing at his best yet.
I just think he might be due soon, whether it's in game 6, whether it's in game 7, because that's the thing. Like, even if he's not playing at his best, they still can win if everybody else plays up. So he's got if they want to win the series, he has to hit his best, but they can wait until game 7. If both teams just win their home games, we're going to a game 7. And then Jokic better freaking bring it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think I'll go with OKC to have the upper hand in this series. Because I mean, your role players play better at home. And I think that we're also due for J-Dub and Chet to have some huge games as well. So we'll see what happens. It has been a very wild series there back and forth with a bunch of close games and then that game 2 blowout in there. But yeah, man, crazy second round so far. Before we move on to the NBA draft lottery, got to ask the question we talked about a little bit in the pre-pod lobby. We've got 3 teams that are down 3-1 in their series. Who is the most likely to come back from their 3-1 deficit? Boston, Minnesota, Boston, Golden State, or Cleveland? Wow, those 3 teams that's weird to even say.
That's so weird. It just doesn't sound right.
Did you say Minnesota, Boston, Golden State, and Cleveland?
Yeah, I switched. I fixed. Yeah, Boston, Golden State, and Cleveland. I fixed it, and then I was like, man, Boston, Golden State, and Cleveland all being down 3-1. That doesn't even sound.
I don't know. I feel like they're almost all not. I feel like they're almost all dead in the water. I feel like I'm gonna say Celtics though, because like I made the case earlier. They win Game 5 at home, and then there's a lot of pressure on Game 6 for the Knicks, and yeah, I think the Celtics have a lot of tools still.
I kind of see. I'm gonna sound biased as a Cavs fan, but I want to say Cavs just because I don't know, man. If the Knicks, even if they lose Game 5, I think they just with that crowd, that MSG crowd, I feel like fueled a lot of them getting that win last night. So like if that happens in Game 6, it's over. I think that crowd in Game 6 is going to be crazy. But I would not be surprised by the Celtics. Warriors, I think they're dead in the water. Cavs, I'm really hoping so. I hope everyone just kind of locks in and toughens up, honestly, because we don't need much. We just need effort, and then we're in a good position to win.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, Golden State, I think they're dead in the water. I mean, no Curry, no chance.
Yeah, literally.
Simple as that. Boston, I mean, I could see it happening, but no Tatum for the series. That's gonna be difficult, I think. To come back from. And then you look to the team that is kind of at their healthiest, and you probably have Cleveland with their top end talent, which is strange to even say. So I'll go with the Cavs to have the slimmest chance of coming back from this, because again, kind of like we talked about with the Celtics series as well. I mean, if you just take care of business and win your home game in Game 5, all the pressure goes to the Knicks and the Pacers to win Game 6 at home, because Game 7s on the road are always a difficult task to win. But out of those three teams, I'll say the Cavs, because they are the healthiest out of the three, I guess. But definitely a chance for all three.
As I say, we can all agree that they all have less than a 10% chance of winning this series.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But that just speaks to how incredible these playoffs have gone. And it seems like the storylines are even going to continue on after the playoffs, after the incredible 2025 NBA draft lottery last night, probably the craziest in history. Here is the lottery order. The Dallas Mavericks jumping up to the number 1 overall pick, followed by the Spurs and the 76ers. You've got the 3 worst teams in the NBA all dropping, I believe, as far as you can, with the Hornets 4th, Utah 5th, the Wizards 6th. Unbelievable turn of events that we had in the lottery last night here. Joey, what were your reactions as this whole thing started to unfold?
I'm still kind of in disbelief of how that happened. I just, my heart goes out to Hornets and Wizards fans. And who was the other one? The Jazz.
Utah.
Yeah, my heart goes out to you, because y'all got absolutely just screwed over. And this, Nick sent the tweet out, or the picture earlier. The script was against you today.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, I'm never one to look at, to really look at conspiracies or think that anything was rigged. But after, this whole season has played out, it is hard to not think that something was up with this, where in the first half of the season, a lot of the conversations are about, all right, NBA ratings are down, ratings are down. So why don't we get Luka Doncic to Los Angeles to, fix the Lakers up with LeBron nearing the end of his career? And then in return, Dallas, all right, you might get screwed over the rest of the season, but you'll get Cooper Flagg.
Well, hold on, because Kyrie Irving was not injured when Luka got traded. So
True. Yes, all that just happened yes, they were healthy, and they probably would have made,
the playoffs,
the postseason or something like that. But with everything that's turned out, it's just, I mean, it's funny that you can just look at that, and it's almost like, man, it was literally written perfectly.
However, that's not to say that once the circumstance came about where Kyrie did get injured and the Mavericks missed the playoffs, now they're in the lottery, that opportunity comes knocking, and they're just ping pong balls. So I am one to conspiracize, if that's a word. Again, 2 a.m. Miles, I can back you up. Definitely not one to read into that sort of thing. But when it was Wemby year and the Spurs got it, I was a little suspect then, because I'm like, Tim Duncan, the legacy of David Robinson, all this. And then, this year they're hyping it up on the NBA pre-draft lottery show that this is the 40th anniversary of the lottery, and showed a clip of David Stern picking the note cards. And it was the year that Patrick Ewing got draft lottery picked went to the Knicks with the first pick, and there was a bunch of conspiracy saying that was rigged, and it's just kind of ironic.
It's who knows how crazy it could be. You could even say those injuries were a conspiracy to the Knicks, or not to the Knicks, the Mavericks. Who knows? The medical staff could be taking like metal pipes to their knees and all that kind of stuff just to make sure they're out for a certain amount of time, so they lose and then don't make it and then somehow get Cooper Flagg. But this team is going to go from a finals appearance one year to the next year getting the number 1 pick, and then the next year possibly going back to the NBA finals. Because we were theorizing that starting lineup of Kyrie, Clay, Flagg, AD, and Derek Lively.
Yeah.
That is absolutely nasty.
Yeah, and of course we don't know what Kyrie Irving's status is for next year yet. I mean, he'll probably miss, a good part of it with the ACL injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. You mentioned they go from the finals last year to winning the lottery. I went back because I was very curious. To my research, this is the 3rd time in the last 45 years that this has happened. I'm surprised it even happened that much, where a team went from the finals one year to the first overall pick, the next year. Before this year, hadn't happened since 1998, where the Chicago Bulls got the first pick 1 year after The Last Dance, and they drafted Elton Brand with the first pick. And then even before that, 1982, the Lakers, they won the NBA Finals and had the first overall pick because, ironically enough, Cleveland traded them their first round pick back in 1980, back when it was Stipin, was terrorizing the franchise. And that pick became James Worthy. Did not know that. I did not know that. But those are the this is the 3rd time it's happened, and it was the Bulls in 99 and the Lakers in 82. So we'll see what can happen with the Mavericks winning the lottery. This was the 4th lowest odds ever to win the lottery. Here are the other, here are the top 5 here. A 1.8% chance to win the lottery, and they got it. Unbelievable. See the other ones there, 93, when the Orlando Magic got the first overall pick with a 1.52% chance. They drafted Chris Webber, and then, ironically enough, traded him down to 3 to get Penny Hardaway. I mean, it's crazy. And then the second one, the Cavs traded, Andrew Wiggins to get Kevin Love. But another team who was also screwed over was the Chicago Bulls. We talked about that. I mean, Nick, you said it comes down to ping pong balls. It also comes down to a coin toss. And the Mavericks and Bulls had the same record. So the Mavericks won the coin toss to go from a 1.7% chance to a 1.8% chance. And even with that 0.1% difference, it got the Mavericks Cooper Flagg. So now you have Bulls fans, not happy with what happened with that. And also the fact that if they had just lost one more game, Josh Giddey, if he didn't make that half-court shot against the Lakers, the Bulls have Cooper Flagg. I mean, it's unbelievable that that's how this, comes down.
Are the Bulls in contention for a GFF? Possibly.
After need some luck to be a GFF. And
that was some crazy
luck.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, the Mavericks winning the whole lottery is unbelievable in itself. But again, that's not even, I mean, that is the craziest thing. But the fact that these other good teams heading into next year also have these top picks. Here it is again, with San Antonio now having picks 2 and 14, Philadelphia having 3. Man, Nick, I know you've been doing a lot of work with your mock drafts and stuff. Now that you know the official order, what stands out to you the most about this, besides obviously Dallas having number 1?
Philly in that top 3 spot, and as well as San Antonio. Honestly, those are 2 solid rosters, we're going to get a elite prospect, someone who can come in and make an impact right away. And it'll probably be the two kids out of Rutgers, and Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. Uh, Harper being a 6'6" point guard, real versatile and can do a lot, and then Ace Bailey being listed at 6'10", measured at 6'7.5", so somewhere in between there, I guess, and can rise up and make a shot from anywhere on the court. Incredible shot maker with a lot of length. So those two, Philly and San Antonio, are going to get a good, solid guy right away.
I love theorizing, and I do agree that Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey are going to go 2 and 3, and one of those is going to go to Philly. But I don't think the Spurs are going to keep that number 2 pick. I really am hoping they send that pick and the 14th pick and probably somebody else up north to Milwaukee, and they get Giannis and bring Giannis, Wemby, Fox, Castle together.
Yeah, that's the number one thing that's going to be talked about probably, with this order is the fact that San Antonio has put themselves, they got placed into a prime position to trade for a Giannis. Giannis, who is most likely going to be available this summer and what will be, potentially one of the biggest moves in the history of the sport. And now San Antonio becomes a prime option, for him to go there with these, picks. It's incredible. I mean, whichever of these good teams jumped into the top, if it was going to happen, whether it was a San Antonio, whether it was, Houston potentially was going to get another really great asset to put in a Giannis trade, in a Kevin Durant trade, in a, Ja Morant trade, whichever stars are available. And it ends up being San Antonio with number 2. It really is incredible that this happens here. I mean, it's speechless.
I also just feel like it totally makes sense for Giannis to be a Spur. Like, they have a great history of like international players being there. Not only just the fit with Wemby, where I literally feel like they will dominate the league for like a decade, like I said in the group chat. I know Coach Pop isn't there anymore, but like I said, I just feel like that's a powerful, like well built organization that he's gonna thrive in if that happens.
The script writers were cooking if this is actually happening, because the first year in 29 years you are without Pop. This is a start of a brand new era in that Spurs organization. And you're going to start it off with possibly Wemby, Giannis, and Fox in your starting lineup.
Both those teams in the same division too, in the Southwest.
Texas is about to be, and Houston being the number 2 seed. This is about to be like the early 2010s again, where it was Dallas, Spurs, and the Rockets. Even with, Rockets maybe a little later with Harden, but that time period, man, Texas teams are huge, on the rise.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm on a fanspo right now, looking at what a trade would look like between the Bucks and Spurs, and really all it would be, really contract wise, is Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Sohan, and then you throw in all those first round picks, and you probably have yourself a deal right there because Milwaukee's going to need future assets and young players.
Who's got a better package than that?
I was going to say that sets up that's almost like a win-win, where the Spurs immediately go into finals contention, and the Bucks, who with the East and a lot of big risers, you're probably not going to compete right now for at least a couple of years, but you're getting some young assets. You can build with getting the number 2 pick in this draft is huge, and you're going to be set up to build for the next 3-4 years. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So that's something that we'll be looking at definitely to start off the offseason to see if that trade does materialize. But man, just in one day, whole landscape of the league kind of shifts across the board. And, for the next couple of years, potentially, if Giannis does get traded to the Spurs, with Dallas now having this, potentially getting Cooper Flagg with the first pick, and now with the Jayson Tatum injury, I mean, we'll talk about the potential implications that could have on the Celtics going forward.
Yeah.
If he's out, the Celtics, most likely they were already going to start to, shed some salary with how expensive they are. Eastern Conference, a lot of the power is going to go to the West, starting next season. And
What else is new?
I was about to say, starting next year, it has been for the last decade, it feels like.
Well, I don't know about that really this year. I mean, you had 3 of the 5 best records in the Eastern Conference still.
Yeah, because everybody else in the East stinks.
I was about to say, look at the bottom of the East compared to the bottom of the West. We had above 500 teams not make the playoffs in the West.
Because the Cavs and the Celtics can beat
teams make the playoffs.
The Hornets and the Wizards and Miami sucked. Chicago sucks.
Oh, true.
Philly sucks.
Well, yeah, now Philly with a third pick. That's something too. We'll see if they actually pick or if they trade it. As a win now franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, an incredible day. Lots of stuff to talk about here. Going into tonight, 2 Game 5s that we've talked about in depth already. Game 5 between the Pacers and the Cavs. Again, we'll see if Donovan Mitchell will be ready to go for that one, and if Cleveland can force this to a Game 6, or if Indiana can close it out and go to their second straight Eastern Conference final. And then Game 5 between Denver and OKC with that tied up at 2 games apiece. 2 huge games. Cannot wait for those here tonight. You guys have anything else before we get out of here?
No, sir.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA postseason content. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.
See ya.
Peace.